I'm doing everything right. So why does it still feel like I'm failing? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. So why does it still feel like I'm losing? Have you ever had one of those quiet moments at night where you just stare at the ceiling and think, why does everyone else seem so much further ahead than me? You're working, you're learning, you're trying to improve yourself, and yet something inside you keeps whispering, you're late, you're behind, you're wasting time. Maybe you scroll through social media and see people your age buying houses, getting married, starting companies, or somehow becoming successful in 5 different ways at once. And you think, what am I doing wrong? Why is this taking me so long? Did I miss some invisible deadline everyone else got? Here's the painful part. Most people who feel behind are actually some of the hardest working people. They care, they reflect, they try to grow, and that's exactly why this feeling hits them so deeply. Today, I want to give you a new lens for understanding this feeling. Not motivational fluff, not toxic positivity, but a psychological, biological, and emotional explanation for why feeling behind is so common in people who are actually trying the most. And more importantly, how to stop letting it quietly drain your confidence. Let's reframe this. You're not behind. You're just on a completely different clock. Here's the first uncomfortable truth. The feeling of being behind has very little to do with your actual progress. It has everything to do with what you're measuring yourself against. Most of us are using what I call the invisible timeline, a mental checklist of where we think we should be by a certain age, career established by 25, financially stable by 30, confident, healed, and fulfilled by, apparently, yesterday. But ask yourself this honestly, who created that timeline? Your biology didn't. Your nervous system didn't. Your values probably didn't. It came from social comparison, cultural pressure, highlight reels of other people's lives, and a society obsessed with productivity and milestones. You're comparing your messy, real-time, behind-the-scenes life to someone else's carefully edited highlight clip. That's not self-assessment. That's psychological self-sabotage. Part 2. Here's the science behind it. Your brain is kind of designed to make you feel behind. Let's talk neuroscience for a second. Your brain has a system called the dopamine prediction circuit. Dopamine isn't pleasure, it's anticipation. It's the chemical of, I'm not there yet. Every time you imagine a better future version of yourself, your brain goes, okay, we're not enough yet. Keep going. That's useful for survival. It keeps you striving. But in modern life, it turns into a permanent sense of insufficiency. Because the goalposts keep moving. You achieve one thing. Your brain immediately creates a new standard. So you rarely experience, I made it. Instead, you live in, I should be further by now. This is why high-achieving, reflective people feel behind more often than complacent ones. Your awareness is high, your standards are high, your inner pressure is high, and your nervous system is constantly scanning for what's missing, not what's already built. Part 3. Here's the psychological trap. Progress feels slow when you're in the middle of it. Here's another mind-bending truth. Growth is invisible from the inside. It's like watching your own hair grow. You don't see it happening. But over time, everyone else notices. When you're actively improving, you're dismantling old habits, rewiring emotional patterns, unlearning beliefs, trying things that don't work, sitting in uncertainty. That's not flashy. It's not Instagram friendly. It's not measurable in neat milestones, but it's real, and it's exhausting. So you feel behind not because nothing is happening, but because deep change happens in slow, quiet, internal layers. And your brain doesn't get dopamine for that. It gets dopamine for visible wins, which makes inner growth feel like failure. Part 4. Social media has totally distorted your sense of time. We need to talk about this. You're living in the first generation in human history where you can compare your life to thousands of people instantly every day. Your brain evolved for small tribes, 20 to 50 people shared struggles. Visible effort, not millions of strangers, algorithmic success stories, 23-year-old millionaires, perfect bodies and lifestyles. So your nervous system is overwhelmed with unrealistic reference points. You're not behind. You're overstimulated. Your brain thinks, everyone is winning except me. When in reality, most people are struggling quietly. They just don't post the breakdowns. Part 5. The deeper emotional layer. Feeling behind is often just unprocessed grief. This one is subtle, but powerful. Feeling behind often isn't about productivity. It's about mourning the life you thought you'd have by now. The identity, the confidence, the certainty, the version of you who had it all figured out. So the pain isn't, I'm not successful enough. It's, I thought I'd be someone else by now. That's grief. And grief needs compassion, not pressure. Tool 1. Here's a simple exercise, a timeline detox. For 1 week, try this. Stop asking, where should I be by now? And replace it with, what am I actually learning about myself right now? Write down skills you've developed, boundaries you've built, emotional patterns you've healed, things you tolerate less than before. This retrains your brain to measure internal growth, not external comparison. Tool 2. Here's another exercise, the reverse highlight reel. Once a week, do this exercise. List 5 things that used to feel hard that now feel easier. Examples: speaking up, saying no, handling uncertainty, regulating emotions, taking responsibility for your life. Progress isn't where you are, it's what no longer controls you. Tool 3. I call this the enough for today rule. Every day ask yourself, what would make today feel complete, not impressive, just honest? Then do that. Not 10 goals, not life transformation. Just one meaningful action, one act of self-respect, one step that aligns with who you're becoming. Consistency beats intensity. Before we go on, a few important things. If you have ADHD, anxiety depression, high sensitivity, or trauma history, your sense of time, progress, and self-evaluation may be distorted. Not broken, distorted. Which means you may feel behind even when you're objectively doing well. This isn't a mindset problem, it's a nervous system pattern, and it deserves patience, not self-attack. This is the funny part. The people who feel behind are usually the ones doing the deepest work. Here's the strange twist. People who feel behind are often self-aware, growth-oriented, reflective, emotionally intelligent, which means they're evolving internally faster than their external reality can keep up. They're dismantling old identities, rebuilding belief systems, learning how to live consciously. That takes time, and it looks slow from the outside, but it's actually the hardest work there is. Here's some psychological support, what you really need to hear right now. Let me say this directly to you. You're not late to your life. You're early in becoming yourself. And that process is non-linear, uncomfortable, and deeply personal. You don't need to catch up. You need to stay connected to your own timeline. There is no universal schedule for healing, no age limit on growth, no deadline for understanding who you are. The only real danger is abandoning yourself because you think you're behind. Before we end, I want to give you a different way to think about your life. So instead of asking, why am I so far behind? Try asking, am I more honest with myself than I used to be? Do I understand my emotions better? Do I make choices more consciously? Do I respect my own boundaries more? Because that's real progress. And it doesn't show up in resumes, profiles, or milestones. It shows up in how you treat yourself, how you handle uncertainty, how you show up when no one is watching. You're not racing anyone. You're building a life that actually fits you. And that takes time. A lot of it. A lot.